Once again, joined by Mike Payton from AtoZ Sports after one of the more crazy Lions games of the season, probably the worst, at least half of football, that first half that the team has played this season. They still come out with a win. Jake Bates, it's a game-winning field goal in overtime. Mike, if you can play like that, if you can play like the Lions did in the first half and still come away with a victory against a team that probably is going to win the NFC South, I mean, at this point, what can't this team do?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how the Lions keep going through tests, and they had a big test last week against the Green Bay Packers in the rain, and then this was an even bigger test. Could they overcome being down 23-7 at the half with the Texans getting the ball back on the other side of the half? It seemed like, we were destined to maybe see a repeat of the Ravens game from last year where everything was going really smooth for the Lions, and then all of a sudden they just, got hammered. But that did not happen. They absolutely showed that they are just a different team. It's unbelievable what they were capable of doing with just defensively. They shut the Texans down completely, didn't allow a single point, uh, started killing them on third downs, and then the offense, slowly but surely just started getting it together. And Jared Goff, I mean, after five interceptions, I think you really need to kind of give him some flowers to continue to play out that game and kind of just put that all behind him and not flinch and just an unbelievable moment for this team. I just know, that's just we talk, you and I talk about the old Lions a lot,
Hmm.
and the old Lions lose that game a million times. The old Lions are the Texans in that scenario where they're giving up the game. It's just what a win. What a night that was.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable watching that all unfold. Goff did throw the five picks. Something that I found interesting this week was Ben Johnson saying kind of that the offense needs to kick it into high gear and meet what the special teams and the defense has been doing. And I found that interesting because I mean the offense has been great this year, right? For most of the season. You're gonna have bad weeks. You're not gonna play 17 flawless games. And they did play a really good second half. Do you see anything from the offense that concerns you? Goff's not going to throw five picks every week. That was more of an anomaly, at least that I'm going to chalk it up as. But, do you see anything with the offense that really concerns you now moving forward?
I think there's some concern to maybe have that if Lions opponents are able to stop that run game, and again we talked about that last week. If they could try to stop the run game and try to make this a one-dimensional offense, it'll certainly help. And that's what the Texans were able to do early in that game. They were able to stop the run. David Montgomery couldn't get anything going. Gibbs couldn't get anything going, and it forced Goff to just have to throw the ball over and over again. This is what Tampa did to Detroit, and this is how they wound up winning. The difference here is that the Lions in the second half started to run to the outside a little bit more. They started to get that run game going, and once that happened, the Texans just they couldn't stop them anymore. I think the one big concern is that defenses are going to start trying to go after the run game a little bit more and try to make this team a little more one dimensional. Just depends on what kind of defenses the Lions are going to play because they're not going to play the Texans every week. But maybe that second shot against the Vikings, we'll see what they do there. That's going to be a tough one.
So, I mean, special teams has been such a strength for this team this season, and Jake Bates really highlighting that on Sunday. I mean, how crazy is it what Bates has been able to do this season? I mean, the Lions pick him up from the Michigan Panthers. He's not gonna play for the Lions. Maybe he'll be on the practice squad and be there, in case of an injury or if something happens. Winds up getting tossed right into the middle of things. What was that? The first week of training camp, and here we are now headed into the 10th game of the season, and he hasn't missed a field goal all year. Has been clutch as heck. Especially Sunday night hitting those two field goals. This is a guy that it's been highlighted over and over. Didn't have a job in football at this time last year. How crazy is it what Bates has been able to provide for the Lions kicking game?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You mentioned it. He was selling bricks last year in the Houston area. It's
Keep
just
saying that. I
crazy
don't.
because
He was selling bricks. I can't fathom what that means, but he
yeah, I
was
don't know either.
he was selling bricks.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what the whole brick sales business looks like, but because I've never bought bricks and I don't know really know anybody who ever has.
No.
They're just there, you know. But yeah, he this is it's even wilder when you realize, previous to what he was doing with the Panthers last spring, he hadn't kicked a field goal since high school. He was just a kickoff specialist in college, and then even with the Texans last summer when he was there, they didn't really have him kicking a whole lot of field goals either. So it's unbelievable to watch what he's been able to do. And I'm telling you, the first week or two of training camp, I was pretty sure that a new kicker was going to be coming on this team because he did not look good.
Mhm.
And once that first preseason game hit, when he hits that field goal at the end of the game, I believe it was a game winner. It was a while ago. It feels like 2 years ago at this point, but I believe it was a game winner. I think that was just a confidence moment for him because after that, he wasn't missing. He wasn't really missing it in practice or at camp rather, or in the rest of the preseason games. And now here we are in the regular season. I think that just confidence is just such an important thing in his line of work, and he has it right now. And after Sunday, he's going to have it for a while, I would think.
So this weekend, the Lions back home again for the second time in 6 or 7 games. Feels like they've been on the road every single week. It feels like the last game they were home against the Titans. And going into it, it feels like, it's not if the Lions are going to win. It feels like how much are they going to win by, which isn't a great mentality to have in the NFL. I'm sure, Dan Campbell is not, and his team don't have that. But, going up against a Jaguars team that, is tied for the worst record in the league, Trevor Lawrence isn't playing. You get Mac Jones again. What does this Jaguars team provide any sort of threat coming into the weekend?
It's one of those things where like, this could be another test where you have to the Lions have to prove that they don't buy too much into their own stock. It's essentially that they're going to have to take everyone seriously. And this is a bad football team. They're 31st ranked defense in DVOA. Their offense is not very much higher. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence isn't playing like you mentioned. They don't really have a run game. They don't really have anything going for them. This should be a win,
Mhm.
but this is also the type of game that you might consider to be a trap game, just because maybe the team might feel a little bit too comfortable. But judging from Dan Campbell's comments on Monday, where he said that he expects the Jaguars are going to be having their best game of the year this Sunday, and he feels that way about the Colts next week, and go and so on and so forth. Like everybody is going to be bringing their best. There is no bad team in this league. That is the way that they need to go about this. They cannot look past anyone, even if they're a really bad team like this.
Yeah, a couple notable injuries this week or on the injury report. Taylor Decker seems like he's going to play. He's at least said that he's going to play. Laporta, do you think he's going to play? And if you're the Lions, do you almost play these injuries more cautious this week? Thinking long term, thinking you can should probably beat the Jaguars with or without these guys.
I would not expect Laporta to play. He has not practiced at all this week. Um, it's not a long-term injury. He could probably be back next week. But yeah, with something like that, you just got to take it easy. This is again, I know it's a bad team, and I know they shouldn't look past them, but like this is the game where you sit someone just to make sure that they're going to be okay. And this gives a lot more time to Shane Zylstra, who the Lions have talked a lot about lately, and elevated 3 times, and then signed to the 53-man roster last week. So they see something in him, and I believe he can be a pass catcher, much like Laporta can be. Obviously, he's not Sam Laporta, but he should get some targets going his way. But that's really it. Carlton Davis hurt his hand yesterday. He did practice today. He had a thumb wrap on, and Fitu Melifonwu kind of thought maybe he was going to be coming back soon, but now he's not practicing again, so we don't really know what's going on there. But they're pretty healthy otherwise.
Thing I'm really looking forward to Sunday is Darius Smith's team debut. I thought the Lions made the right call Sunday because, like we talked about last week, he wouldn't have had a bye week had he played Sunday night. So that's probably good for the long run. But what are you expecting to see out of Smith on Sunday? How much will he get in there? And what can Lion fans expect to see in his debut?
Yeah, well, according to Campbell, he's going to be on pitch count. So I don't think that means he's going to play like just 10 snaps or anything. I just don't think they're going to have him out there as much as they're going to have everybody else. But um, yeah, this is a guy still learning the playbook and everything. But I definitely expect that he is going to bring something to the pass rush. I think there's a good chance that you'll see a lot more pressures this week on Mac Jones than you have in the past couple of weeks without Aiden Hutchinson. He's a very good player, and he's been very good lately for the Browns. And I think this is a much better situation for him, just based off of who he's got there on the interior with Reeder and McNeil, bringing space eating and also bringing some pressure on their own as well. So I think Smith is going to be very good here, but I don't know if this is the week that we're going to really see how great he's going to be for the Lions.
The Lions are 14-point favorites on Sunday. You don't see a line like that too often in the NFL. That's more of a college line. A couple big games coming up. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. The Packers, the Bills are right around the corner. Do you expect the Lions to beat the Jaguars by as much as expected? How do you see this one going down? Does it wind up being a little bit more of a trap game, or is it more Titans game from a few weeks ago where just start to finish the Lions are in the driver's seat?
I certainly don't. I want to jinx them, but I do expect them to be in the driver's seat for this game. I think that they will. I think they'll play very well. I think they'll win this game. I'm going to go with 35-7. I just don't have a whole lot of faith in the Jaguars' offense to do much against the Lions' defense, and I think the Lions' offense against one of the worst defenses in the league should get right back on schedule and no five interception game from Goff this weekend.
Well, we'll see if the Lions can take care of business. A couple bad teams coming up. Jaguars this week, Colts next week. A chance to just keep racking up those wins as the Lions look to lock up the NFC North here in the next month. Mike, appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch up next week before the Lions head to Indianapolis.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jacob.